With Day of Dragons entering 1.0 in less than 2 months, there is a lot of excitement to see this indie crowdfunded game break out of early access. Many, however, lament they were not able to join in on the Kickstarter and take advantage of the rewards or simply being part of the community right from the start, while always a risk to put money towards a project that is not finished, so long as you are prepared to wait for the development of the game, and the possibility of losing money if things go horribly wrong, you can end up being there at the start of a project and help bring it to life. Here are 2 fantasy creature survival games I think could have a bright future ahead of them, and that you can support into the new year. First, let's start with dragons in the game Wings of Dawn. On top of the stunning and diverse dragons you can take control of to survive, you can instead choose to play as a human and try and build and survive in a land ruled by dragons. As a human in the 1100s, expect taming, a crafting system, and of course building, with established town safe zones and NPC trading and even hiring. Dragons and humans will be at odds with each other, but if you want more of a how to train your dragon style gameplay, you could always play as a nomad human. While cast out from the usual human society, are able to team up with dragon players, giving both human and dragon advantages. Top it off with beautiful Unreal 5 graphics, weather and environment, and a lot of weird and wonderful AI creatures, and this is likely a game you can sink a lot of time into. The dragon gameplay is designed to be much more solitary experience. There is no planned leveling other than growth and player own experience, so everyone is on the same playing field. Speaking of dragons, they are sure to have something to suit your style in both looks and colours. Earlier this week I got to ask one of the devs, Clack, some questions. What drew you to making a game that is not only fully fleshed out dragon survival experience, but also human survival game as well?
What Shad actually originally did was it was intended to be a dragon only survival game, but when I joined I was like, there are other games already doing that, let's do something a bit different, so I threw the idea of humans in. But another thing is, once we got really into development, more than just an idea, it became one of those things where people talk about, knights and dragons, but no one's properly made a game about it, where you can play as both. So we thought it would be a fun idea to do.
What do you think's been the biggest hurdle you've faced so far in game development?
I could say programming, because obviously it's very hard to find programmers when you have next to no funding. But I'd probably more say actually there's been a lot of, especially recently, a lot of negative connotations when it comes to indie games, and that's really put everyone at a disadvantage when it comes to support, because everyone's instantly oh, is this going to be a scam? And that's really damaging to new startup indie groups. Yeah, it's probably one of the harder ones.
I know it can be hard to pick favourites, but if you had to, which dragon do you think is yours?
Oh, I need to go back in the list quickly. I do probably our Prawn Reaper, so I really like that. That's a cool one. I also like Noctura and Aquarius. I've got to pronounce it. Those are probably my favourite ones. Although I do really like our new giant fish boy called the Thalassic Song. I think that's a fun one.
It's got to be the Arduin for me. It's so cute. And lastly, when do you think you're going to start the crowdfunding campaign for Wings of Dawn? I know you've got the Patreon.
So we're going to aim for March, early March. However, if we don't think the game is in, the tech demo, is in an acceptable position, we will delay it if we have to.
The development team plan on having a free tech demo to play featuring the Icy Crown, the Vulgan, and the Kirin, as well as humans, with AI such as the Antelope, Scalf, and Williams, which have sort of become the mascot of the game. The Black Death may also find its way into it as well. Make sure to check out their Discord for weekly updates on the game, as well as their YouTube channel where you can find some amazing videos showcasing the development of their creatures from start to finish. The second game I want to showcase has a much smaller scope, but the art style and skin customization really drew me in. They currently have a free demo to play over on Steam, and they just launched their Kickstarter this Friday, which will be running till January. There is currently only one creature to play, the Lazard, in a post-apocalyptic world, but more is on the way. With only one creature, you still won't be lacking in customization. Just look how they've implemented the skin system. With so many ways to tweak one skin, it really is proving with the growing player base a lot of fun to share pictures of what they've made, as well as meet up with others in game. Currently you are able to host your own server for free, with a max of 6 players, though in the future they plan on having dedicated servers with around 100 players. The game intends to stay within the classic survival PvP style, but with enough funding they do intend on adding territory system, as well as nesting, food stashes, and collectible decorations you can use. The team are not trying to be big or fancy, or reach beyond what they know they can do, which can be an issue with all games, particularly indie. I got to ask one of the developers some questions as well. What drew you into making a creature survival game focused on original animals?
So, originally, when I very first started working on the game, I had thought about making a dinosaur survival game, because I really enjoy dinosaur survival games, of course. And after a little while, I was thinking about it, and I didn't want to try to compete with the dinosaur survival games or redo something that's already been done so well. And one of my main passions is creature design. So the more I thought about it, the more I was just like, I should just make a creature survival game, with creatures. I should just make some cool stuff, because that is what I enjoy and what I'm passionate about. And the other thing too is that I know a lot of artists that do creature designs as well, and I would really love to commission them and feature their designs in my games at some point also, because they do good work and I want to do that. So yeah, mainly I really enjoy creature designs, sci-fi, monster designs, all that stuff, so I wanted to kind of make a game around that.
What do you think has been the biggest hurdle you've faced in game development so far?
I think the biggest hurdle was learning Unreal Engine and learning how to do materials and just learning the program itself, because it's so in-depth. There's so many things to it, and there's so many different little settings and all sorts of weird stuff that you wouldn't even imagine would be a problem, that you'll implement something and then it won't work and you'll be like, why is it doing that? And you have to go on this wild goose chase of figuring out what's causing that issue, and then you finally find the answer on some obscure Reddit that's not even about the question that you're asking, but you still found the answer, and it was weird and confusing, but then you learn a little bit more. So yeah, I think the biggest hurdle has been learning Unreal Engine, but also it has been super rewarding to learn how the program works and get really into materials and modeling and all that stuff. It is so much fun once you actually get going with it.
I know it can be hard to pick favourites, but if you had to, which creature's yours?
I think my favorite, purely because it has been there from the beginning, is the Lazard that's in the test demo currently. That was the first model that I made when I first started tinkering with the idea of making my own game, and I used it as a quote-unquote placeholder model for probably about the majority of my learning in Unreal Engine. I want to say roughly 2 years. And after a while, when we actually got into the development part of the game about 3 months ago, I was like, okay, we can either pay somebody to do more animations for a completely different creature, or we can use this creature that already has a bunch of animations set up for the demo, but oh shoot, the model looks really old and outdated. It didn't have eyes originally, because I didn't know how to do that when I first started. It didn't have ears, it didn't have very much texture going on, the geometry was a bit. And so I decided to remake the model for it so that we could keep the animations. It just sort of ended up being okay, well, this creature has all the animations, new textures, a new model, sound designs. We should just include it in the final game. Why would we not do that? And so that's kind of what we're ending up doing. It wasn't planned to go that way, but I think that because it's been there since the very beginning, it's my favorite, just because it's yeah, I think that's the reason why it's my favorite.
I think mine has to be the pangolin deer concept art I saw. So which game caught your eye? Are there any other projects you're excited for? Even if you decide not to put any money down up front for an indie title, it can be a lot of fun and exciting to be part of the development of a game right from the start. and just showing your support for the game by chatting and giving feedback on the Discords is invaluable. That said, please do your research when backing any Kickstarter project or any other crowdfunding site. These sites are not shops, they are a way for projects to get funded that normally wouldn't have the opportunity. And even with the best intentions, projects can still fail. Get to know the devs, the community and the game before jumping in, and understand that game development takes time and passion. See you all soon!